An electrifying atmosphere fills the air as a large crowd gathers, their eyes glued to a distant point. The suspense is thick, you could cut it with a knife. The air is charged with anticipation, a sense of something momentous about to happen. A limousine appears on the horizon, its sleek form cutting through the crowd's anticipation like a hot knife through butter. It's as if time itself has slowed down, each second stretching out, extending the sweet torture of the wait. The limousine approaches, a majestic beast gliding through the sea of people, its arrival marking the end of the wait and the beginning of something spectacular. As the limousine comes to a halt, the crowd holds its collective breath, the air pregnant with expectation. And then the window rolls down. The crowd roars, a wave of pure, unadulterated joy sweeping through the mass of people. The cheers reverberate through the air, a tangible testament of the crowd's adoration and excitement. And who's the cause of this euphoria, you ask? None other than Jane Fitzcostellia, the beloved icon, back from a month-long holiday in the exotic lands of Timbuktu and Johannesburg. Her return is not just a homecoming, it's a celebration, a festival of joy and laughter. It's the return of a queen to her kingdom, a hero to her people. Her return also marks the beginning of something new, something exciting. It's the dawn of Series 3 of Jane Fitzcostellia and Friends, and what a series it promises to be. If the crowd's reaction is anything to go by, it's going to be nothing short of spectacular. So hold on to your seats, folks, because the ride is about to begin. And judging by the crowd's reaction, it's going to be one heck of a ride, so buckle up and get ready for the time of your life. The crowd's cheer is deafening as Jane Fitzcostellia returns, marking the beginning of Series 3. The atmosphere is electric, the excitement palpable. This is just the beginning, folks. Stay tuned for what promises to be a roller coaster of fun, laughter, and pure entertainment. Welcome to Series 3 of Jane Fitzcostellia and Friends. As the crowd settles down, Jane steps back onto the stage, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Now that we're all here and the circus has officially arrived, I think it's time to introduce you to something a little different, she announces, her voice echoing around the square. Today we're going to be making a recycled waste strawberry compost cake. The crowd gasps in surprise, a murmur of intrigue rippling through the masses. Jane grins, clearly delighted with the reaction. Now, I know it sounds a bit strange, but trust me, it's going to be delicious, she assures them, her excitement infectious. The purpose of this cake is to show you that sustainability can be fun and tasty. It's all about using what we have and making the most out of it. So without further ado, let's get started. Jane begins to list the ingredients needed for the recipe, her voice clear and steady. You'll need some organic waste, manure, strawberries, and a little bit of love, she says, her eyes twinkling with humour. The first step is to prepare the manure base. Now, I know it sounds gross, but bear with me, it's going to be worth it, Jane assures the crowd, her enthusiasm undiminished. She then proceeds to demonstrate the shredding of the organic waste, her hands moving with practiced ease. Stay tuned, folks, she says, as she finishes the first part of the recipe. In the next scene, we'll continue with our sustainable feast. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. As the scene ends, the anticipation in the crowd is palpable. The recycled waste strawberry compost cake promises to be nothing short of extraordinary, and they can't wait to see what Jane has in store for them next. As the crowd calms down, a shock takes over Jane's face. The atmosphere is electric, the anticipation palpable. Ladies and gentlemen, Jane announces, her voice ringing out over the crowd. Welcome back to the show. We've been away, adventuring in the far reaches of Timbuktu and Johannesburg, but now we're back, and we're kicking off Series 3 with a big top bang. The theme for this video, my friends, is the circus. A ripple of excitement passes through the crowd as Jane's announcement sinks in. But just as the cheers are about to reach their crescendo, Jane's eyes widen and she grabs the microphone once more. Attention, please. Attention, Ms. Belle Pum, she calls out, her voice echoing around the square. Could someone let Ms. Belle Pum know that she's running down the street with her pants on her head? Laughter erupts from the crowd as Jane sets off in hot pursuit of the elusive Ms. Belle Pum. The chase takes them through the town square, past the local bakery and around the duck pond. All the while, Jane keeps up a running commentary for the crowd, her breathless laughter adding to the hilarity of the scene. Miss Belle Pum, you can't start the show without us, Jane calls out, dodging a hay bale and a trio of ducks as she continues her pursuit. The chase continues, with Jane and Miss Belle Pum leading the crowd on a merry dance through the town. The laughter is infectious, the excitement electric. And as Jane finally catches up to Miss Belle Pum, the crowd erupts into applause. As Jane chases Miss Belle Pum down the road, the circus-themed series is off to a hilarious start. Catch your breath, folks, because this is just the beginning. Welcome to the circus, courtesy of Jane Fitzcostellia and Friends. Hold on to your hats, because this is going to be one wild ride. Fresh from our chase around the town, we're back at the circus kitchen, Jane announces, her voice filled with mirth. And folks, we're continuing with our bizarre yet sustainable recipe, part 2 of the recycled waste strawberry compost cake. She pulls out a large mixing bowl filled with an assortment of organic waste. Now, we're on to the stirring part. You mix your green and brown materials together, just like you're whipping up a traditional cake batter, she explains, stirring the contents of the bowl with a large wooden spoon. Remember, it's important to keep a balance to control the moisture. You don't want it too wet or too dry. She then moves to a heap of compost, demonstrating how to turn it for aeration. Just like kneading dough, you need to aerate your compost pile. This helps the materials break down faster. Jane then covers the compost pile with a tarp, explaining the waiting and curing process. Now, it's a waiting game. The compost needs time to cure. You'll know it's ready when it looks, feels, and smells like rich, dark soil. In her signature humorous style, Jane holds up a plate with a slice of compost cake, adorning it with a drizzle of liquid diarrhea sauce. And voila, a delicious slice of our sustainable compost cake. She laughs, pointing towards the camera. Just remember, folks, this is not for human consumption, but it sure does make a great conversation starter at parties. With a wink and a laugh, Jane concludes, that's it for our sustainable recipe. Now let's get back to the circus. Hold on to your hats because the fun is about to begin. As Jane catches her breath, she introduces us to the circus crew. The first member to be introduced is none other than Miss Belle Pum, the Madame Butterfly herself. Known for her eccentricities and larger-than-life personality, Miss Belle Pum is the heart and soul of the circus. She's a character who can make your sides split with laughter and your heart warm with affection. Next in line is Hauve, Miss Belle Pum's round and adorable sister. Made of candy floss, just like her middle child Zoe, Hauve is the gentle breeze in the whirlwind that is the circus. And speaking of Zoe, this flossy, round, pigtailed candy floss girl is the apple of everyone's eye. Her sweet, endearing nature and her short yellow hair in pigtails make her quite the spectacle. Now let's not forget about Pole and Nuddles, Hauve's other children. Pole, the male polar bear, is as strong and majestic as you would expect a polar bear to be. And Nuddles, the youngest, is a female golden bear who is as cute and cuddly as a teddy bear. But not everyone in the crew is as sweet and lovable. Enter Horse McGorse, Miss Belle Pum's arch-enemy. In the eyes of Jane Fitzcostellia and Friends, he's the villain of the show, always trying to paint us as mischievous and outrageous. Horse McGorse is the goody two-shoes we all love to hate. And now, we introduce you to the matriarch of the family, Curtelu. Miss Belle Pum's and Hauve's mother is so fat, she needs to be rolled in the door. But don't let her size fool you. She is full of life and laughter, and her antics are a sight to behold. One day, while assisting Grandpoof in his fart yoga class, Curtelu accidentally farted into a man's mouth. The poor man blew up like a balloon and flew away, yelling, "Whee!" This mishap was so hilarious that one boy couldn't contain his laughter and vomited into his hat. He then put it on his sick sister's head, who was already covered in vomit. The hat got stuck in her hair, and she became known as Vomit Girl. With this colourful crew, we are all set for a riotous circus experience. From Miss Belle Pum's eccentricities to Curtelu's hilarious mishaps, there is never a dull moment. So buckle up, folks, because the circus is in town, and we are ready to give you a show you will never forget. Jane brings our attention back to Miss Belle Pum and her hilarious countryside adventure. Remember Miss Belle Pum, our Madame Butterfly, who has a knack for making the ordinary extraordinary? Well, let us take a trip to one unforgettable day in the countryside. Picture this, our dear Miss Belle Pum standing on a bridge, the wind in her hair, a mischievous glint in her eye. And what's that in her hand? Spoiled cheese. Yes, you heard it right, spoiled cheese. Now, as fate would have it, a train was passing right underneath the bridge. And not just any train, but a train with no roof. So what does our audacious Miss Belle Pum do? She drops the cheese onto the unsuspecting passengers. What follows is a symphony of gagging and retching as every single passenger is covered in a mix of vomit and spoiled cheese. 300 people, all victims of Ms. Belpum's impish antics. But wait, the fun doesn't stop there. An old lady who had the misfortune of being on the train had pepper poured up her nose. Now you can imagine what happened next. She sneezed uncontrollably into a cake, which was then served with rotten egg and spoiled milk with mouldy carrots. The result? More vomit, more chaos. Ms. Belpum's misadventure wasn't limited to the bridge. Backstage at the circus, she convinced a group of children to jump up and down after eating the aforementioned concoction. They all vomited, causing the floor to open up, leading to a cascade of vomit onto 200 people below. It was a sight to behold, a spectacle that only Ms. Belpum could orchestrate. With Ms. Belpum around, expect the unexpected. Jane takes us backstage to a group of children jumping up and down. Oh, the innocence of youth! They're bouncing away with joy, their faces lit up with uncontainable excitement. But wait, they've been feasting on a concoction of spoiled milk, mouldy carrots, and a cake sneezed on by a pepper-snorting old lady. That's a recipe for disaster if I've ever heard one. As the children continue their jubilant jumping, the inevitable happens. Their stomachs churn and revolt against the vile mixture they've ingested. One by one, they begin to spew, raining down a torrent of vomit onto the unsuspecting audience below. It's a scene straight out of a comedy horror film, with 200 people covered in the disgusting aftermath. In the midst of all this pandemonium, a man, his mouth aflame from a pepper hotter than the sun, is desperately seeking relief. His eyes fall on the only available source of water, the toilet. With strict guidance from the ever-helpful Ms. Belpum, he takes the plunge. A gulp of the unsavoury liquid and his stomach rebels. The vomit flies, a stream of bile and toilet water finding its way into a poor woman's mouth. He is so sick that let's just say, he experiences the mother of all vomits. The chaos is unimaginable, the hilarity is undeniable, and the stench is absolutely indescribable. One thing's for sure, this is a circus act nobody will ever forget. And with that, we conclude the first episode of our circus-themed series. Stay tuned for more hilarious misadventures with Jane Fitzcostellia and Friends.